Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We're doing something wildly different today. We're doing all Dan Hipp decks. I'm on vacation. I'm at Universal Studios as you're watching this, so I thought rather than try and keep up the meta and lie to you and pretend that I actually know if anything has shifted in the last couple days, it probably has not, just for the record. There's no OTA. We're just discovering the best call decks, and I think I already have those. Check Friday's video. But for the time being, we are just going to have a nice, fun video and look at 5 all Dan Hipp decks. Before we get started, though, please check out the Snap Judgments League. As a $1 or up member of our Patreon, you have access to this league. It is a Patreon perk where you get to be in a huge tournament, pods of 32. Winner of the pod gets a season pass. It gets entered into the Winners League. Winner of the Winners League gets a giant grand prize. One of the big bundles. We don't know what because they don't let us data mine anymore. But it's there. There's numerous top creators in this. We've got Lamby, we've got W, we've got the top of the ladder Italian players like Geo. Everyone is competing in this. Browde is in. Get yourself ready to compete. You can knock out a Titan. You can win free stuff, all for the low cost of $1. What do you have to lose? Check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. That will give you a link to the Discord, which will give you a link to joining the tournament. And then you're in. Let's go. Brought to you by myself, Savage Yeti, Gunny T, and Doug Pie. Please also hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. We try to bring you the most comprehensive content in Marvel Snap, whether it be fun decks, whether it be the top decks in the meta, which we often get exclusively. We get the best decks weeks before others do, as on a regular basis at this point, we have the most comprehensive, forward-looking Marvel Snap content in the game. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. It also helps us out, and it's the best way to support us for free. All right. Oh, that's not it. All right. Sumajans asks if there's a full deck that is all Hipp. Funny you should ask. That's today's video. Thanks, Sumajams, for the idea for this video. While I'm away, this is a cool thing to do. There are 2 cards that need to get Hipps to go really wild. They open up like 10 more decks if we just have a Hipp Shang-Chi and a Hipp Magic. So let's go, second dinner. Let's go, Mr. Dan Hipp. Let's get a Shang-Chi and a Magic so that we can really make some great all-Hipp decks. Still, we have enough for 5, although there are a few that are Hipps that are coming in the next month or so. This is the full Hipp. Our first deck is a Hipp Destroyer ongoing thing. This is built off of Den's recent Den Destroyer deck. This is one real major card off of it. It needs a Hipp Electro or a Hipp Magic to really ramp, and there's not, that card doesn't exist right now. So instead, we could actually, come to think of it, do Hipp X23 to fit, but whatever. Basically your gist is here you go Zabu, and if you Jubilee into something like Nimrod or Panther or Shuri or Wong, you're off to the races. You can also Iron Lad into any of those cards if you see Zabu, and you can just if you don't see that, though, you're perfectly fine going Wong or Shuri on 4 into Panther, or you can double a Nimrod and then destroy Nimrod and put giant Nimrods all over the place. There's a lot of ways to win with this deck. It's really, really, really cool. All right, so we can also toss and wave, and the Taskmaster would fit when it's out as far as Hipps that are data mined or exist. Wave would be perfectly fine. So turn 1 pass, turn 2 Zabu. Turn 3, whichever of the 4 costs you can, or pass basically. Turn 4 is Wong or Shuri. Turn 5 is Panther or Nimrod. And turn 6, if you can Zola on a Panther or Wong and just win that way. Or you can Destroyer on a or you can play Carnage Venom on a why is the name escaping me? Nimrod. Or you can Destroyer on a Wong for Nimrod and then just make double the copies of Nimrod. Either way, super great. Very, very powerful plays. This is a really cool deck, and it is, of course, 100% Dan Hipp. What is your favorite Hipp in this deck? I think my favorite Hipp here is Zabu. But Zabu's going to be in a lot of decks. Spoiler, because Zabu goes in a lot of decks. But the more I've been playing Snap, the more the Hipp Jubilee really grows on me. I love the bubblegum. It feels so perfect for the character. Also, Hipp, if you don't know, is the artist on Teen Titans Go. And, well, that Jubilee feels like it's right out of that cartoon. Next up, we have a Sarah Control. This is our Hip Sarah Control. It is a really cool list. It can't run Stronger Enchantress because those are cards without hips. So instead, it's saying, okay, so what if I can just steal a lane with Omega Red, Gladiator, Ms. Marvel? And if it can, it should do really well. It's got the Zabu and Sarah things, so it can do the cheap things. It's got the Legion to scam games, the Mobius to stop opponents, all that good stuff. So it can Scarlet Witch if it doesn't like a location. If it gets something good, can Legion it or not. There's a lot to like here. This should be very powerful. It would really like Shang-Chi, but I think that's the only card that it's really missing from being completely top-notch. You want to go second here because you'd really prefer your Ms. Marvel Omega Red not got hit by their ongoing shenanigans. Plus, Killmonger is your main tech card here, and being able to actually kill those damn ones instead of having them reveal last because of Black Swan is important. All right, so we'd like to see a Maximus or Shadow King. Obviously, a Shangan Enchantress would make this deck better. So turn 1 is passed. Turn 2, Zabu, better than Jeff, better than Medusa. Turn 3, Mobius, if it fits and does something, over Gladiator, over Ghost, over Killmonger. Turn 4 is Ms. Marvel and Omega Red. Turn 5 is Sarah. And then turn 6 is go off with as much stuff as you can to put a bunch of power on the board. This does a really good job of putting power wide on the board. Every single one of these Dan Hipps is out. Obviously, again, Zabu, and the competition for this one for my favorite hip is really fierce. We've got Jeff and Ghost, which are among my two favorites. This Sarah is gorgeous, but I have to go with Mobius because Alligator Loki, y'all. Next up, we have a Stature Hawk list. This is our first list that is missing a hip. The recently data mined hip Rockslide is in this. A hip Doom would go in this, but this is our standard Darkhawk good stuff. I guess Darkhawk also needs the hip, but Darkhawk's hip has been data mined forever. It should be out relatively soon, unless we're extremely unlucky. So we get that hip Rockslide out, we get that hip Darkhawk out, and all of a sudden we are good to go. Everything else about this deck is really set. This is our old school Stature Black Bolt Darkhawk list. You cannot play Stature on the last turn with Alive, but you can't play Doom on the last turn with Stature either, and those all go in the same deck just fine, right? You should be able to get priority with this list. You're not running Shang-Chi, you are running Ms. Marvel and Omega Red, and you just have a ton of high power cards. So priority is a given. We're waiting for releases here. Doom and Shang would also be pretty great in various slots in the deck. So turn 1, Korg. Turn 2, Zabu is better than Jeff. Turn 3, Rockslide. I don't know why it says better than Scarlet Witch. It should say better than Black Widow. Apparently I got my redheaded Marvel characters confused for a moment. Then we've got our pick a 4, but be wary of Shang-Chi, which is fine because Ms. Marvel, Omega Red, and Lad are relatively safe, so don't play Darkhawk if you could avoid it yet, unless you feel like you must, because it's going to be your only chance. Oops, wrong way. Then you do Black Bolt, or a 3 plus a 2, and then you drop 2 4s, or a 4 and Stature, or Alive. This deck is really good right now. It's just waiting on those last 2 hips. I badly want those last 2 hips. I've got a Christmas Korg and Rockslide, and I can run them, but I'd much rather run the hips in combination. Also, I think the Black Bolt and the Darkhawk look really, really great together. My favorite hip in this one is probably, well, not counting the unreleased ones, I really like Hip Stature a lot. It's my favorite Stature by landslide, although Eliath looks really, really great animated. Next up, we have our Sarah Bounce. This one is waiting on a Nico Minoru only. Oh, and Angela. Pooh. Nico and Angela are the 2 hips we're waiting for. Again, they're immediate buys for me as soon as they come out. I would happily open Spotlight caches for Hip Nico. I've always got extra saved up, and this would do it. This is a Sarah Bounce list. So basically what we want to do is we want to play some 1-drops, and then we can bounce it back with Beast. There's also Hip Falcon if you would prefer over Angela, which works just fine here, but I wanted to try and get the Angela Kitty synergy. Angela Kitty also is really great synergy. Bast is phenomenal here, just like an absolutely great card here, because hitting Mysterio makes it a 2/9, and the rest of this is fairly self-explanatory, right? You play sort of a long curve, you bounce when you can, and then you go hit Monkey, Mysterio, and whatever other cards you can to end the game. All right, we're waiting on releases here. Forge and Shang would likely fit if we had hips for them, and Werewolf and Zabu would fit if we had that Shang. So Bast is better than Hawkeye, is better than Kitty to start the game. Angela is more or less equal to Elsa, which is better than Jeff. Turn 3 is Bishop. Turn 4 is Beast and another 2, or Beast and Bouncer 1s. Turn 5 is Sarah, and then you drop it all with Hitmonkey to end the game. That's how we play this deck. It's really, really strong. I think this is one of the better decks here. Although, again, it could use some tweaking based on some hips releasing. I want that Nico so badly. I've got 2 other Nikos. I've got like 3 other Angelos, but those are the cards I really want. Okay, my favorite Hip here is Bast. Bast is one of my favorite Hips in the game. This is the first deck that has Hips that I don't love. The Hip Monkey is fine, but it's not the best Hip Monkey, and I don't like the Hip Kitty Pride. I think that's the wrong costume to go for if you're gonna hipify the card. So either way, that's like my childhood costume. I just think the other version in that costume works much better. My favorite is again though Bast. Our next Hip is Hip Tribunal. Is this the last one? I feel like this might be the last one. It's hard to count while I'm talking. But we've got Hip Tribunal. This is a living Tribunal Hip deck. Again, Magic would be amazing here. So would a card like Electro, but we are what we are, and those cards don't exist. We are waiting for a 1 Hip from this version. Hip Mystique is the only one we need. This Hip Mystique is so good. Half turning into Spider-Man, crouching with the gun. It's phenomenal. You've got the Zabu Ravona thing going. You've got Cosmo to protect your ongoings. You got Omega Red. You can also run Ms. Marvel. I decided to run Omega Red here because if you're going Iron Man Onslaught, you're likely to win that lane, and then the +3s could be more useful, and it gives you the freedom to choose where to play it. It's also pretty damn good with Tribunal. This deck is phenomenal. You're going to need a little bit of luck to get it going without that extra play, although Wave can do the job for you. You can happily wave into Onslaught or Tribunal, and then play Iron Man and then Onslaught and win. That's like the basic gist of the deck. That's what it really wants to do. And you have, but you have to see Wave on 3 and then one of the 6s on 4 in order to pull it off. Iron Lad and Jubilee will help a lot in this deck, especially if you can get Zabu or Ravona out and make other cards cheaper. Like if you go Ravona and your Iron Man is 4 and you play Iron Man, then you play Lad or Jubilee, you've got a reasonably good shot at hitting one of the important cards because, well, you didn't hit it. And if you miss with Jubilee and Iron Man was your last play, then if Mystique comes out, Jubilee has not finished resolving, Mystique will still copy the previous card. All right, turn by turn, Magic, please. Turn 1, pass. Turn 2, Zabu over Ravona. Turn 3, Wave, Juby, Red, Lad, all better than Cosmo. Wave is your priority. Just explained why. Turn 4 is Iron Man, or whatever you would do on turn 3. If you played Wave previously, you play Onslaught. Turn 5 is Sarah or Iron Man. Sarah is really great here. If you get like 2 or 3 of the discard, the cheaper things going, a 3-cost Iron Man is backbreaking. And then you end the game with Tribunal. Quick Hip look. So I think I'm required by law to say that my favorite Hip here is Tribunal, given that Tribunal is one of the 2 cards we based our logo on. But I think it might be Ravona anyway, because I really love this Ravona. All right, that's our Hip day. Hopefully you enjoyed this fun little video. Certain tiers of Patreon support come with on-air thanks. We've got Abigail Giesla, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, DG Winfield, Direwolf, LAB, Father Newman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., Jane Everett, JD McDonaldino, Akela Platano, Kertix Lee, Koi Ray, J Bussy, Models, Loy Antunes, Matt Conduit, Matt H, Mikey Hijinks, Snowflex, Ocularis, Pretty Chill, Seamus, Spike Jones, Two Ties, Tucker, X-Force V, The Homie Min, and our tournament friend, Gunny T. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this fun video. Tomorrow we are doing something far more competitive. We're doing 10 advanced tips for snapping and climbing rank in Marvel Snap. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow for Snap Take. Hit that sub, hit that like, hit that comment. If you want to be in that tournament or just want to show some support, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgment. Peace.